And sometimes, unfortunately, I didn't have such good bosses. You know that movie? There is a movie called Horrible Boss.
Horrible Boss, yes.
I think we all go sometimes through that. I hope I'm not a horrible boss.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot please everyone, but
Yes.
I know that I had some horrible bosses that really put me down, undermined me, but I always manage rebounding and finding in the bottom of myself my strength to say, I'm not so bad. I'm sure I'm doing good things.
Yes.
But then it's communication is also one of the key factors in leadership. How you communicate, how you make sure people understand your vision, where you want to go through. And this is a challenge I have every day. But it's a human challenge.
Yeah.
And then also because there are gaps in terms of background, of culture. We, like for me, English is not my first language, so sometimes I might use, I don't know,
different language.
a certain way of speaking that people might not understand exactly what I mean.
People at the moment are struggling to understand the older generation because times have changed. Technology has come in.
They've moved on.
Yes.
We're the ones sitting back and wondering, what is my child on to? TikTok has surpassed WhatsApp. The other one I call, I never call it Facebook, it's Bookface. Why are you on Bookface? Dad, it's Facebook.
Yes.
Me, I keep saying, I have a foot amongst the millennials. And I understand the traditionalists.
Okay.
There's a song in the 60s, by the way, and in the 90s, 70s, where they're like, parents don't understand. Remember Prince?
Yes.
Prince.
It is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and welcome to House of Talent Television. This particular episode of the show brings you a man who has been in the hospitality business for a very long time. He's got a couple of nominations from all across Kampala and Uganda and many other places in East Africa, and says we want to see that guy. The first time I interacted with him was us trying to open the gyms in Kampala when the pandemic came and showed us a move. And he was one of those CEOs who were hands-on and, participating in every aspect of opening the gym. And I thought it was a great stuff to have a CEO participate hands-on. But today on the show, we bring you the story of the man who has been in the hospitality business for a very long time. The man who is the general manager of Sheraton Kampala. He is also the regional general manager for Constellation Management, Hotel Management, and of course the LLC as the organization in East Africa. JP, welcome to the show. We hope we've gotten your whole, CV and profile correct.
Yes, it is.
Welcome to House of Talent Television. Welcome to the CEO Bench. And first of all, how have you been?
Very good. First of all, thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah.
It's good to be out of my operations and spending some time here with you and with your work public.
Yes.
Talking a little bit about my experience and mostly about, I think, leadership and the challenges we are facing, especially in this very difficult period.
Yeah.
So thank you for hosting me here.
You're welcome. We want to start from a very light note of getting to know you. A lot of times we see people like you in spaces that you are at the moment, and we think that you just got there just like that. We don't know that it takes a bit of time to get there and a lot of processes to get there. But first, we want to know from a nutshell, who is, Jean-Philippe Bettencourt in a nutshell. Who is this man? And if we're looking to know you more, what would you say about yourself in a nutshell?
First, my name can be adapted easily. I was born in Brazil and I grew up in Brazil. I spent 27 years of my life there.
Yeah.
So my name in Brazil is João Felipe.
João Felipe, yes.
My French side is from my mother, and most of my career being abroad, so Jean-Philippe became my name. But lately it's more JP, because it's easier for everyone.
Yes.
Or John Philip.
Yes.
I'm very fine with that. But JP is nice, it's very
cool,
casual,
short,
cool, yes.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, I was born in Brazil, in Rio.
Yeah. Oh.
Which is, we call it the wonderful city.
Yes.
And I really had a very beautiful and pleasant childhood and youth there. With my parents and my siblings. I have a brother and a sister.
Yeah.
And having two nationalities, at the same time we were brought with two cultures, and the desire, I would say the willingness to go abroad and living other experiences grew up with me and my brother and sister is the same.
Yeah.
And so I actually, in terms of career, the first target or the first choice for me was to become a diplomat.
Wow.
And when I finished my high school studies, I went to university and I started preparing for an important contest to apply for the diplomat school. So I did almost 3 years of economic science, which is very broad and give you a very good knowledge, general culture on how the economy has grown up. And at the same time that I was studying, I felt like I want to travel, I want to do things. So my parents, they could give us a very good life, but at the same time, they give us a lot of responsibility, and they say, you want to enjoy, you have to work. So I started working, doing some jobs, and I had the opportunity to work in a hotel. And that was one very beautiful hotel in Rio called Le Méridien. which by coincidence, it's one of the brands today that belongs to Marriott.
Wow.
It's under Marriott umbrella.
Wow.
So Le Méridien at the time was a company, a hotel company belonging to Air France, the French national carrier.
Yeah.
And they had this beautiful hotel in Copacabana Beach, 500 rooms, many food and beverage outlets, nightclub. It was really the top place.
Yeah.
So I did there first a kind of internship.
Yeah.
I had the occasion to meet with the general manager through some acquaintances, and I would say that he was kind of my mentor somehow for my start, because he allowed me to do all this experience a little bit of different areas in hotel. And I really liked it so much. At the end, they liked me too. They offered me to stay, and I decided to stay.
Yeah.
So
That's just like that. The dream of becoming a diplomat died.
yeah, but you know, that's why I say to everyone, and I have so many friends that are in the diplomacy.
Yeah.
I always say being a hotel manager and being a diplomat it's very similar.
Yes.
There is a lot of points. We deal with sometimes very sensitive subjects. We deal with very important people, VIPs, heads of state, showbiz, famous actors, singers, MDs. I mean, it's a kind of similar. But anyways, I embraced hospitality and I developed my early career in this hotel.
Yeah.
But I felt that I needed to have a little bit more of background, so I decided to go back to studies.
Yeah.
And then I applied for a program in France, an MBA in hotel administration.
Yeah.
So that happened I'm going to go back in the past, in 1989.
Yeah.
So you see, I'm not that young. In
But you don't
1989.
look,
So in
you're just beginning.
1989, I left Brazil.
Yeah.
I left my family there, and I did this 2-year program.
Yeah.
And when and so this program was in France, in the surrounding areas of Paris.
Yeah.
And it was really fantastic because apart from the program by itself,
Yeah.
we had different nationalities. My colleagues were from different parts of the world, different experience, and that was really, in terms of exposure, exchanges, very, very rich. And when I graduated, it was the moment where in Paris they were opening the Disneyland. It's about 40 minutes by subway from Paris.
Yes.
It was the first Disneyland in Europe, and so that was a fantastic experience because we opened, if I'm not wrong, on the 6th of April 1992, the theme park and 6 hotels that were managed by Disney, 6,000 rooms.
Yeah.
So I worked in the pre-opening, and then we did the opening. It was very tough times, I would say. There was a period I could not even go back home, and I'm living what my associates there at the Sheraton are going through now because of the COVID. Some of them sleep in the hotel, live in the hotel. That was my experience at the Disney time. Maybe but it was short. For 1 month. We were just rolling. I was in the room I was sleeping in a certain time. Another colleague in the evening. We were rotating, but that experience of opening that destination was really fantastic. Further down, I had the opportunity to move to a big French company called Accor Hotels that have different brands. And I worked downtown Paris. Then that was my first, let's say, luxury experience in a very renowned and traditional hotel in the heart of Paris. And that's I worked there for about 6 years, and that's where I met my wife. And we first we dated, of course, then we got married. And my wife, she was also from hotel background, and she did a very nice school in Swiss, Lausanne. And so we decided that we wanted to go somewhere else. because again we choose this career not to stay anchored in a place but to move.
Yeah.
So we had the opportunity, and that one was to go back to South America, not to Brazil but to Argentina.
Yeah. Oh.
And that was my first position as general manager.
Yeah.
That was in 1998.
Yeah.
And it was the opening a hotel.
Okay.
It was a Crown Plaza Holiday Inn in a city called Cordoba.
Yeah.
Cordoba will be like Jinja here, the
Yes.
second city,
Or second city,
or
which is about
Parara.
85.
I don't know
Yes,
which
yes,
one
yes.
is the the
It
second.
might be more of like Ginger back then, but
Yeah.
probably be Mbarara today
Yeah.
or be Gulu today. Yes.
Yes. So that was we went there and we did the opening, and it was again a great experience because we found a construction site and everything to be prepared.
Yeah.
And openings for people working in industry is really a very good experience.
Yeah.
You go through all sort of things,
Yes.
and you're starting things from scratch.
Yeah.
You have
It's a
to
big clean slate for you to
Yeah.
bring your ideas and to explore your ideas. Yes.
Then I had the chance to join back the French group called Accor in Brazil,
Yeah.
in Sao Paulo,
Yeah.
not in Rio. Sao Paulo is the economical capital
Yes.
of Brazil, is the largest city,
Yeah.
and is a very vibrant city.
Yes.
And it was Sofitel São Paulo, so I went there again as a general manager, and that was also very exciting experience. It was a moment where like here in Kampala, that we are seeing so many new hotels opening.
Yeah.
That period there was a period that many of those big brands were developing projects,
Yeah.
many hotels opening, so very competitive market. And from there, then it was a big jump, and I had really, with the same company, one of my former bosses, he got a position in the Middle East, in Dubai, as a director of operations, and he invited me to do the opening of a Sofitel in Dubai.
Yeah.
And at that time, this was in 2005, 2006, that's what all the world started hearing about Dubai, the Burj Al Arab,
Yes,
all
yes.
these constructions going on, the city of the future.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like changing completely my world. Like
Yes.
I went there for a first visit and
Yeah.
for interviews.
Yeah.
And wow, I was really fascinated to see all these projects going on. It was still Dubai was a construction site,
Yeah.
nothing to do with what we see now.
Yes, yes.
All these big towers, the Burj Al Arab, not the Burj Al Arab, the Burj Khalifa,
Burj Khalifa, yes, yes.
everything was under construction, the big malls. So I moved there, and the hotel I opened, the first one was called Sofitel The Palace,
Yes.
was just in front of where the Burj Khalifa, the tallest tower in the world, is.
Yes.
So again, opening a hotel in the Emirates,
Yes.
it's really something, because again, you work with people from all different parts of the world, you
Yeah.
recruit people from different countries, different destinations.
Yeah.
And so I lived in the Emirates about 10 years,
Yeah.
and in 3 different projects.
Yes.
And all of them were openings, or there was the last hotel I worked was a fully refurbishment and a rebranding.
Yes. Yes.
So the first was in Dubai, the second was in Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
and the last one was back to Dubai.
Wow.
And in the meantime, there was a period between 2 openings. I left the company again,
Yeah.
and this was in 2009, and I joined one of those big Dubai projects that was called Dubai Land and Resorts,
Yeah.
which basically were 6 or 7 theme parks
Yeah.
with hotels.
Yeah.
So I was recruited as a project manager for the hotel side.
Yeah.
And my hotel was going to be the Shrek.
Wow.
You know the Shrek?
Yes.
So that was very exciting, and
Yes, yes.
that brought me back somehow to the times I worked with Disney.
Yes.
And Disney, you know, it's really a fantastic company to work in terms of exigence, standards,
Yeah.
how we deal with guests, how we take care of guests.
Yeah.
And so Dubai Land was a big dream, but unfortunately the crisis of 2008 came,
Yes.
and with the crisis everything was put on hold. So I went back for Accor Group to open Sofitel in Abu Dhabi. And after Sofitel in Abu Dhabi was the Pullman Deira City Center.
Yeah.
And then it was about 20 years with Accor. We divorced, let's say. We split apart. Things have changed in the company. These are things also that leaders must know.
Yeah.
There
Which is what we're going to talk about at some point.
There is a
Change
moment,
management,
a moment that you join. There are moments that things goes well, and
Yes.
there are moments that things might not be at your level of expectations.
Yes,
Things
yes.
change. So you need to know the moment when to step out and look for something else.
Yes.
And that's something else that came shortly after was this beautiful adventure I'm living to work in Eastern Africa.
Wow. And that's the foray into the Eastern Africa as well.
Eastern Africa, and also working for Sheraton, because I really I'm very glad that opportunity came.
Yes.
Working for such a famous and traditional in the hospitality brand is 8 years of existence, present all over the world. And so I started by a very tiny country in Africa called Djibouti.
Yes. I know Djibouti.
Yes, so I went there, and it was moving from Dubai there was a big
Change of environment,
cultural
yes,
and environmental
shock and everything, yes.
But I think I have a great power of adaptation.
Oh, yeah.
And that's very important in not only in hospitality. I think for everyone, we need to be ready for things are changing so fast, and things are so unstable that we need to be prepared.
Wow.
So that was a big change. It was, I was coming from that environment where in Dubai everything is possible. You just click your fingers and you get things done.
Yeah.
You have resources. I went to a total different reality.
Yes.
But I would say that I joined back a certain reality of life, and this is one of the things that for me are important, is the humanity we carry with us.
Yeah.
And working there was apart from the change of environment, working there was really tough. The Djiboutians are very difficult people.
Yes.
I compare very often them with Ugandans.
Yes.
Ugandans are sweet, very easygoing people.
Yeah.
In Djibouti, you really have to fight a lot to be accepted, and that they get the trust
Yes.
working with you.
Yeah.
And anyway, the hotel had a very difficult history. I replaced a GM that was almost kicked out of the country, so the climate in the hotel was really very bad.
Wow.
And I think that's one of the achievements there, that I managed to gain their trust and to put things back on
track.
on track.
Yes.
And so I really enjoyed. And actually the Sheraton Djibouti and Sheraton Kampala and Sheraton in Addis Ababa belongs to the same owner.
Yeah.
And we are franchise hotel. So I work with Sheraton, but I work for the owning company.
Yeah.
And
Which
the
is
owning
the Constellation
the owning
Hotel
company
Management.
entity that manages this hotel is called Constellation Hospitality Group.
Yeah.
So I came first time to Kampala for a meeting. I think it was budget presentations or board meeting. I don't recall.
Yeah.
That was maybe in 2015 or 14.
Yeah.
14 maybe.
Yeah.
And immediately I loved the country. The moment I step into the airport, Entebbe, and Entebbe is a magic word. You know all the stories about Entebbe. When I was young,
Yeah.
in Brazil, we used to see Idi Amin on TV and all things. And for me, Ugandan was, as for a lot of people, was about Idi Amin at the time.
Yes.
But when I joined the company, I started hearing about Uganda, all the beautiful things in Uganda. So I immediately was attracted to come, and that there was that occasion, and people were very, very welcoming, and I took advantage of the few days I was here. I went to visit Jinja, the source of the Nile.
Yes.
And I had in mind, like, one day, if there is an opportunity, if they propose me, I would like to go to Kampala.
Yes.
And that happened maybe 1 or 2 years after. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But when my predecessor left,
Yeah.
that was in end of 2015.
Yeah.
So I was offered the position, and so I came.
Wow. Wow.
And I was supposed to stay 2 years,
Yes.
then again 2 years,
Yes.
and then I think the chemistry is
Yes,
good,
yes.
and then of course the COVID crisis came,
Yeah.
and these are times that for the owners I think it was very important to have someone that they really trust.
Yes.
And that could face the challenges that we've been facing for
Yes,
almost
yes.
1.5 year or
Yes.
almost 2 years.
Almost going to 2 years now.
Yeah, and also the trust of the brand, because since Sheraton was taken over by Marriott,
Yeah.
Marriott is a really fantastic group that gives a lot of support, and they don't make difference between the hotels they manage directly and the hotels who are franchised.
Yeah.
It means that we
they
have
bridge the gap,
we
like
have
you
much
said.
more access to
Yes.
information, to training. We have people that regularly check on you. We have a lot of most of the things are done online through webinars and online sessions. The counterpart is that Marriott also put the bar
Yeah.
higher,
Yeah.
and we have really to make sure that we
Maintain,
achieve
yeah.
certain targets. Mostly is the targets related to guest satisfaction.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that whoever stays in the hotel
Yes.
rated us.
Highly.
Yes,
Yes.
that's very important.
Based on the experience of staying in
Exactly.
the hotel.
So yeah, so that's where I am here. I'm happy. I'm happy to be in Kampala, in Uganda, and I hope that I'll stay longer. I think that it's
It's a good thing.
no, it's a good thing.
Yes, yes. Yeah, JP, this is really good story and a good journey coming from there. I've enjoyed your journey from growing up in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil to France, and then to Abu Dhabi, and the changes in between there that has happened. A lot of times we don't understand some of these self-leadership. And from what we're seeing here is a lot of self-leadership, picking up yourself from there and giving yourself meaning and beginning to move forward. I want us to take a break, and when we come back, we want to dive straight into your understanding of leadership. What is leadership to you? What is, leadership? What type of leadership do you use? Are you a leader? If yes, what type of a leader are you? And, from this space where you are apparently enjoying, and you've definitely lived your life the way you wanted it to be. It may have not been in a diplomacy as sitting in the embassy, riding in an embassy car, but you're still living with these people on this side of serving them in a hotel and hospitality business. Thank you very much for joining us on the CEO Bench. We're talking to the CEO, to the general manager of Sheraton Kampala, but also the regional manager for the East Africa Constellation in East Africa and East Africa operation. And of course, his name is Jean-Philippe. Of course, Bentecourt, we want to know how those names comes together. All right? Take a small break. The CEO Bench will be right back after this. How did you, as a child, if you visibly remember, what did you want to be in life?
Well, if I go back, I think I looked at two things as a child. I thought about, I looked up to the skies and I'd see the stars and, see the airplanes flying over. And as I was there, with my dad, looking after the cows, or with my grandma going fishing, or with my grandpa farming, I'd look up and go, wow, what are those things up there? And then someone told me, that's a space station. I go, okay, interesting. And what else is up there? Well, those are stars, and those are airplanes. I thought, well, it would be great, to figure out how those things work. Yeah. And so I guess that was one interesting, passion of mine as a little kid, figuring out how aerospace vehicles work. And I guess that wasn't, something which excited me a lot.
Wow. You said the two things. So how did you end up there? You were fishing with your grandmother, you mentioned, and farming with your father and grazing with your grandfather. Why were you not able to pick one of these from these, three different distinct people, and then you ended up in the things that are up in the sky with all this interest? What was the motivation like? Was somebody an aerospace engineer? Was somebody thinking about the things up, or it just came to you?
It's, back then, we didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have mobile phones. We didn't even have phones, or television. We just had nature, and that was great, And we had stories around the campfire, around the hearth every evening. We'd sit down and talk to each other. We lived quite close to national parks, so every now and again a lion would hop over and grab a cow and go and have supper as well. So we shared with the lion. So it was being at one with nature. But what was important in all that was allowing one's mind to imagine, allowing one's mind to run, to fly, to really go as far as one's mind could possibly go. And if I think of looking at things from the space going down, I could still look down and figure out what's going on, on the fishing side. I could look at what's going on the farming side. I could look at what's going on the grazing side, because when you're up there, you can see everything. But it also helps you appreciate how special the earth is. So that's I'm most grateful for that natural environment that any kid in a rural village in Uganda or any other part of Africa right now has, that where you see every star. And I believe there is something special about that.
Welcome back from that break. This is CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and of course you're tuned into the House of Talent Television live on Facebook, on YouTube, and as well on our website, www.houseoftalentuganda or www.houseoftalentug.com, and you'll definitely be at home. We are talking to Jean-Philippe Bintecourt, who is the General Manager of Sheraton Kampala, as well as the Regional Manager for Constellation Management Group of hotels in East Africa. Jean, welcome back to the show. I want to take you straight to a very interesting part. I have enjoyed the journey of knowing who you are and, the journey of getting into that hotel. I wanted to dig deep a little bit about leadership. And I want to take from this point of view, the transformational leadership approach and leadership abilities often defines the personal level of effectiveness. And we looked at this from a point of how do they manage change? How do they manage people? How do they lead self? How do they lead the people they're working with? How do they manage the brand that they work for? So we want to know from you your leadership journey. But first we want to start from, what is leadership to you, JP?
So for me, the leadership, I would say there are different components, but the most important is the art of knowing people. How you know your clients, how you know your associates, your colleagues, and all the different stakeholders that are part of the business. How you know your bosses, your investors, how you know the key people that bring you business, the key relationship you must have in a market in order to make sure that thing goes smooth. So I think this requires an openness of mindset. And I would say that for me, the fact again that I have two cultures, I live in different places, it helps a lot. You find similarities, of course.
Yeah.
If I see how Ugandans are and
Yeah.
how Brazilians are,
Yeah.
they are not totally alike, but there are a lot of similarities.
Yes, yes.
If I see how a French person is, or a German, or
Yes.
an American,
Yeah.
they are very different
Yes.
and difficult people
Yes.
to manage. I know by the French side because
yes, yes,
I have my French family. I
Yes.
worked in France. I
Yes.
worked with French companies.
yes.
So I learned how to deal
Yes.
with
all of
this.
them, yes.
And so it's and now especially this past years working for Sheraton Group, it's more like Anglo-Saxon approach of,
Yes,
of
yes.
hospitality.
Yes.
So this also, so all these dimensions are very important. So it's knowing people, knowing the culture, the different generations you deal with. It's a very important.
Yeah.
It became more and more because the gap between generations have changed.
Yeah.
I would say, or I mean, people that analyze the market trends,
Yes, yes.
how things go. Before, a generation gap would be 10 years.
Yes, yeah.
Now it's shorter.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know, maybe it's 5 years. I
5
don't
to
have
10.
it in mind, but it's something
It's about
close
3
to
to
that.
5 years, 10 years. Yeah.
And but this is a beauty also, how to deal with the young generations.
Yeah.
Because they are so different from you in many aspects, and they are the ones who are going to lead the world tomorrow.
yes.
So you cannot ignore that they have their way of thinking, their way of working. They are all into the digital world. They are faster than you. They know how to use those things much. They have that power of capturing.
Yes.
In my life, I started using computer. I was already working in that
Yes,
at
yes,
that hotel, Le Meridian.
Yes, yes.
When I joined Meridian Hotel,
Is when you started
we
using
worked
it.
manually.
Yes.
We
Wow.
were counting reservations, counting room nights to make forecast. Then the not the digital but the computerized system
Came in, yes.
So that's where I started using computers.
Wow.
When I did my MBA, I had the first Macintosh,
Yes.
which was the initial one. You know that Apple
Yes, yes,
Apple
yes.
one.
The Apple one,
Yeah.
yes, 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 which was this huge.
That
yes, yes,
box
yes, yes.
and very small
Screen,
screen.
yes.
And when you know now, when
the
I,
conclave screen, yes,
when you
yes.
explain those things to the young,
Yes,
so you see things have changed a lot.
Yeah.
So fast, and so you have to catch up with that.
Yeah. with
So
the
it's
time.
part about, it's also a question, the other key component of leadership is
yes.
about the change.
Yes.
You have to change. If
Yeah.
you stay in the past,
Yeah.
if you stay behind, you you are done.
Yeah.
So I think this is also one very important component.
Wow.
And knowing people is understanding them.
Yeah.
It's you have to try to put yourself on people's shoes. That's a very important concept.
Yes.
And sometimes I deal with situations that can be related to a guest, an account, or an associate of mine.
Yeah.
I need to try to understand why that person is behaving like that.
Yeah.
What is behind his attitude or the way he's performing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that, I cannot say I am not perfect on that, but at least I take that very much into consideration on my daily work, how to try to understand people.
Yeah. Wow. JP, you mentioned something very important when you were talking. You talked about change and managing change as a leader. As a leader, at what point do you realize that you are now a leader when growing up? That you realize I'm now a leader and I need to start understanding people more? Because you said you spend a lot more time understanding people as part of your day than dealing with people. Because if you understand them well, then you will be able to deal with them the best way possible. So at what point did you realize that you were becoming a leader, when you can talk about self-leadership? And what is self-leadership for you?
I would say that I always took things in a very responsible way. And when you take responsibility, automatically you start taking some kind of leadership on projects that you do. And I would say from my first job in in that hotel in Rio.
Yeah.
I start taking responsibilities, and I also like to train people.
Yeah.
And I think training, developing people was always something that I like to do.
Yeah.
Until today. I would say that one of my best rewards is when I see someone from the ground,
Yes.
young and without too much experience, then we can see that person growing and developing his skills and moving to his career,
Yeah.
and showing him a vision, a possibility of him becoming also a great leader.
Yeah.
So I think these are the components that I wouldn't say that I know I am a leader. I think that came naturally somehow, and there was appreciation from my bosses that also say this guy is doing well with job. We need him in that position.
Yeah.
Because leader also is about you need to fit in a certain position.
Yeah.
You need to take that responsibility and deliver what is assigned to you.
Yeah.
There is also important components about integrity, and this is how people trust you, what you're doing. And for me, it was always very important that people trust on me.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, I didn't have such good bosses. You know that movie? There is a movie called Horrible Boss.
Horrible Boss, yes, yes.
I think we all go sometimes through that. I hope I'm not a horrible boss.
Yes.
I mean, you cannot please everyone, but I know that I had some horrible bosses that really put me down, undermined me, but I always manage rebounding and finding in the bottom of myself my strength to say, I'm not so bad, I'm sure I'm doing good things.
Yes.
But then communication is also one of the key factors in leadership. How you communicate, how you make sure people understand your vision, where you want to go through. And this is a challenge I have every day, but it's a human challenge.
Yeah.
And then also because there are gaps in terms of background, of culture. Like for me, English is not my first language, so sometimes I might use I don't know,
different language.
a certain way of speaking that people might not understand exactly what I mean. So communication barriers can be one of the factors that disturbs a lot in your daily leadership. But it's always good to find a moment and talk with people and see, is there a problem? Is that something that I did wrong? Is that something that I could be clear? And this is a challenge that I see between my people from my team, with the people who are there executing the job. Sometimes the message as a leader takes some time to get to that level. So I try to have a direct relationship with everyone. I don't like creating too much barriers. I am the super boss. My office, nobody
comes in.
I mean, if I am available, please come to talk to me. And I try a lot to be on the floor, on the ground, walking around, talking with people. I don't like to be perceived as a difficult person to reach, because I don't have any pretension to be. So my people, they know, but sometimes they are still shy. There is something about the Ugandan culture, which is this respect of the authority of the elder, that I try to break a little bit, because I say, I'm a human as you. I went through your age. I went through a lot of things. Went through, so feel free to share.
Yeah, whatever you have. Yes.
And so this is again the communication, those different levels. It's something that we have to be much more easy nowadays. You know. In order to make things happen, in order to make sure that people federate to a project, a strategy, you cannot have too much, because things goes too fast. We cannot complicate things.
I want to talk to you, JP, very slightly about that part. Leadership in hotel management. The hotel management in the African continent, not most of them have gotten some of these key elements that you're talking about. I have been to quite a number of countries in Africa. I'm privileged to come from a very humble background, and God has been good to me too. There are 54 countries in Africa, and I am happy that I have been to at least 34 of them in many of these cities. My father was not able to achieve that. My mother was not able to achieve that. But sports took me there, and some of them, the leadership, training took me there. So I interact with so many of these people in some of these places, and I realize that when you go to Europe and you come back to Africa, you see a completely different mindset altogether. Let's talk about leadership at the hotel management. Having arrived in East Africa, like you said, when you went to the first place in Djibouti, it was a complete different turnaround altogether. Going to Dubai, which was just a construction site before, or a construction city before it became a real city of itself, and then coming from Europe. What has been the leadership journey in the hotel management, and how would you advise a person who is watching the show here, who is a guy in Karamoja with a very small, tiny hotel or a big hotel, is not at your level, and it's going to take a lot of time to get to your level, but they're looking forward to try and learn a thing or two from you on the show today?
I think one of the key elements is to know the future is here.
Yeah.
It's not
The
in
past.
Europe.
Yes.
I myself,
Yes.
if tomorrow they offer me to work back in Europe,
Yes.
I don't want it. I mean, it's challenging.
Yeah.
There is a lot of constraints in Africa, or even in my continent, South America.
Yeah.
It's still a lot to be done.
Yeah.
There is a lot of possibility, less rules, less barriers. I know how things are in Europe. You cannot do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So for young people here, you need to trust in your continent. You need to trust in. I know sometimes it's difficult, and I talk about this with my guys,
Yeah.
because sometimes they feel discouraged because of what we're living now. I
Yeah.
say, guys, this is I wouldn't say it's a temporary thing,
Yeah.
but we are going to learn how to live with the COVID and the vaccines and all that is
Yes.
going through.
Yeah.
Life will not, I don't think life will be back to what it was in the past, but it's going to change and we will adapt.
Yeah.
And so they have to still keep hoping, investing in training, in learning. I think this is very important.
Yeah. Training and learning.
Yes. If there is an opportunity to do it, please embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that in our company, being part of Marriott, there is really a fantastic system that allow people to learn, to take trainings, online trainings.
Yeah.
Most of them are online trainings.
Yeah.
I have a very good department of HR with the learning and development side. My director of HR, she's a very qualified person, and she was trained by Marriott, and she's a Ugandan, and I always use her as a reference.
Yeah.
My Aisha there,
Yes.
she went abroad. She probably had very difficult times in UK.
Yes.
She worked there. She came back with her background. I don't remember exactly the whole thing, but she ended up in Marriott. She
Yeah.
did the opening of the JW Marriott in Dubai.
Wow.
Those two towers. It's
Yes.
the tallest hotel in the world, by
Yes.
the way. And she always tell and share the stories with our associates about how exigent was.
Yeah.
Then she had the opportunity to do the opening here in Kigali,
Yeah.
where we have a Marriott.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to come back home, so there was an opportunity,
Yes,
and
for her to-
I'm very glad that we recruited her.
Yeah.
So I think she is a very good example. She comes from a very humble background. She is a woman. She has 4 kids now.
Yes.
She has to manage the family life.
Yes.
She has a farm. So it's a beautiful example.
Yeah.
And there are other people in my team, but
Yes.
I have my director of sales and marketing, Jackie, who started in Sheraton Kampala as a trainee after
Yeah.
her. She did journalism,
Yes.
and today she is the director of sales and marketing because she had passion. Because having passion is very important. The
Yes.
passion for what you do.
Yes. Yes.
She developed her career. She
Yes.
had opportunity. She had difficult moments. Yes, everyone has, but
Yeah.
she's there.
Yeah.
She had a beautiful family with 3 kids, and she's going through for sales and marketing. This period
Yes.
is so difficult because there were times they were saying to me, I have no one to call. Nobody's in the offices. I have no place to visit before our home.
Yes.
But
This is during the lockdown?
during the lockdown. So we drive all her potential
Yes.
to the digital. So we developed so many nice things in trying to do business digitally, and especially in the food and beverage area, and what with all the trends we have now,
Yes.
digital conferences and working remotely.
Yes.
And in the F&B, the takeaways, the
Yes.
deliveries. So that was where we are. But just about, there are people that succeed, but you need to have determination. You have to have passion. You have not to give up,
Yeah.
and find someone that can mentor you and guide you. I think that's very important, because there is that moment always when people feel down, that
Yeah.
is someone that can give you a boost.
Yes.
And and I would say that I'm talking about my Ugandan rep, but in every part of Africa, I think it's the same.
Yeah.
The possibilities are there.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful continent. A lot of things to being built.
Yeah.
The tourism to develop
Yeah.
with all the attractions,
Yeah.
and the cultural experience. We can talk about the business side too. The cities are developing. The business is developing.
Yeah.
People from other places are interested in investing here.
Yeah.
One very important sector is the what we call MICE, meetings,
Yeah.
incentives,
Yeah.
conferences and exhibitions.
Yes.
It's maybe a little bit now difficult because of the limited number of people, but it will come back.
Yeah.
And this is a prominent sector for our industry. And so people must believe,
Yeah.
and if they have the chance to work or to study elsewhere, even if it's in very close nearby, in Nairobi or in Rwanda, or a lot of young people now also focus a lot in the Middle East, because yes, it's a very nice platform.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I see someone comes to me, boss, I'm leaving, I got an opportunity in Dubai.
Yeah.
I ask, is it a good one? Is it a reliable one?
Yeah.
Go for it. Even if sometimes leaving there, it's tough.
Yeah.
I know that one of the first motivations is about money, but it's very important. And you see so many young kids that went to Dubai, worked, and bring a lot of good experience, and come back in entrepreneurial positions, starts a business. So I think that it's hard, it's tough, it requires a lot of, again, strength, but it's feasible.
Wow. JP, we're going to take a break, but when we come back, we want you to dig deeper into change management. How do I change from one place to the next place? You've had numerous changes. Some people are stuck in one place. You find a person who's been a general manager in this hotel for over 20 years, 15 years, not moving. But you said you have been moving from the day one when you ended up into the hotel business. You've been moving and you've worked in different places. The experience, of course, speak volume from where you are. And we want you to share that on change management and how can we change, particularly from the hotel side of business. And we want to, close the show in that part with, the impact of COVID-19 on, businesses across the world, but particularly hotel businesses were shut down. How are you managing it as a general manager? How is it working for you? Are you bouncing back? What are you putting in place to make sure that people keep coming back to, have their life in the hotel and still be able to do whatever we used to do before? We'll do that after the break. And of course, you're joining me on this discussion with the general manager of Sheraton Kampala, but also the regional manager for Constellation Group of Hotel Management, LLC. It's the group, in East Africa, and, same gentleman managing it, doing it. How is he doing it? Can you learn a thing or two from him? The CEO Bench will be right back after this break.
My name is Dr. Jinpo Olowo. Thank you for watching House of Talent Television. I love to inspire people. I love to talk about my experiences and how God has been able to use me in the different exposures. And through the leadership, through change management and transformation, I've been able to do a couple of things in my life. Now, are you a kind of person who is tired of your status quo? Do you want your situation to change? Are you tired of what is going on in your life? You know, change is a fact of life. We've all been through experiences in the last couple of months that have taken us to a place where we need to do something about our lives. We need to change whatever is going on. So if you have not piled up investment for yourself, you need to do that. If you've not done businesses to hold your family in future, you need to do that. Are you thinking of full-time employment? You need to be thinking about your life after employment or your business in the next couple of years. So if you want us to chat, if you want us to talk about this, please get in touch with us at SEAL Uganda on number 0772443085 or check our website www.sealuganda.com, or on all the social media handles. You can hook me up or Facebook, that is Jinpo Olowo, on Instagram, Jinpo Olowo, and on Twitter and LinkedIn. Then we can chat a way forward with you. We can help you, we can coach you, we can walk with you this journey of financial freedom. Thank you.
Welcome back from the break. This is the CEO Bench. My name is Eddie Okila, and my guest this particular show, or on this particular show, is the general manager of Sheraton Kampala. Sheraton Kampala, back in the days, was known as the Apollo Hotel, owned by, you know, the government of Uganda back in the days. And later on, management changed hands when privatization came in. And JP is the man at the helm of leadership at Sheraton Kampala, but also managing other, you know, hotels across East Africa as the general manager for Constellation Hotel Management LLC. JP, welcome back to the show. We will maintain the JP for, you know, for everyone. Yes. But the real name is actually Jean-Philippe Bittencourt, and let's talk about the name first of all. The name sounds nice. I love your name, Bittencourt. What does it mean? In Africa, we have names and the meanings behind the names given.
Yeah, there is a Bittencourt is an old name. It's my father's name. My father was Brazilian, 100%.
Yes.
But Bittencourt has a French origin.
Yeah.
And it's a name from the north of France at the time of what they call the Middle Age.
Yes.
And they say that there was one of those small kingdoms at that time. There were many.
Yes.
And the king had a bastard son.
Yeah.
And so this bastard son, they used to call him Bet en cour.
Yeah. Bet en cour.
Yeah. Cour means court.
Yes.
And bet means that it's a bit not very depreciative
Yes,
way
yes.
of calling it.
Yeah.
It's a bastard son.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it was like the bastard in court.
Yeah.
So Bittencourt becomes the name. And
Yes.
this name, at the time of the big discoveries,
Yes.
somehow came through the Canarian Islands, which are in the middle of Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
So you find Bittencourt people, Spanish,
Yeah.
and then they came to South America. So
Yes.
you find people with the same name in Brazil, Mexico, Argentina, Colombia. It's spread.
Yeah.
all
At some
over.
point, I thought it was, you know, it was a Spanish name, and then to note that you have a French origin, so it's confusing.
Yeah.
So that's
But
the
my
meaning.
French side, I don't have the family name of my mother. It's my father.
So what would be your surname? Is it Jean Philippe? Which one is the surname? Like Eddie Okila, which one is yours?
No, my Okila is
Bittencourt.
Bittencourt. Yes.
Ah, okay.
Jean Philippe is my Christian name, is my baptism name.
Okay.
Like people.
All right. So welcome back to the. So it's good to know that there is that human side normally, and to understand the culture from there. It's a very important part of life, because you're in the hospitality business. But welcome back to the program. We want to talk about change management in hotel management. Hotel and hospitality have seen a lot of things change. So many people, there's the coming of the Airbnb came a little bit disrupted the real hotel business, sort of the traditional business running. You see COVID coming in there immediately and knocking everything off and putting everybody off track 1.5 years down the road. And you said COVID came in just when you're about to finish your 2 years, or the next year. You're supposed to be here for 2 years, and the 2 years extended. Perhaps COVID has given you a much more extension, but there's something we want to pick from there. What informed the decision of the business owners to say, no, let him first stay? And you said the brand needed somebody of a certain caliber. How do you manage this change? How have you been able to manage change from all these areas all the way to Kampala? If I want to learn something from you and I'm trying to change from one place to the next, what should I do? Looking at you speaking to us right now.
Change is something that, again, it's a challenge for the human being by nature. People I would say people tend to prefer something stable, and that was like our parents, grandparents somehow were living because things took longer to happen.
Yeah.
But they also had changes. My grandparents from my French side lived during the time of the war, and I can say by the stories I hear that yes, from one day they have their life structured, and then the Germans invaded Europe.
Yeah.
My grandfather had to go for the war, left my grandmother with kids at home, having to run the business. Sometimes there was bombing, everybody had to hide. There was shortage of food, shortage of a lot of things. So maybe there was that period after war that the whole world went into a growing trend with developments and building back all the destruction that war became. This was a golden years. And I would say I was still born in that period. I was born in the 60s. In a country like Brazil, the 70s was a period of a lot of big developments. They were building roads all over the country. That's maybe a little bit what Uganda is living for the past years, since you have some stability. There are roads, dams, electricity is everywhere, the internet, the connection. When I talk with senior Ugandans, they say, the young generation, they are a bit selfish because they don't know what we went through some years back. And the history here, we know it was very tough those times. Today, people have access and comfort to other things. And the country is growing. So, and things go faster. Changes comes very fast. The COVID is a big example and experience of changing. We were working in a certain way, we had a market, we had clients, we were spoiled. And suddenly everything was down. I mean, I remember the day that I saw my last clients leaving Uganda because they were afraid to get stuck here, and I found that hotel like empty, like a desert.
Wow.
What do I do?
This is Sheraton Kampala.
Yeah, Sheraton Kampala. What shall I do? I have 400 employees. What I do with them?
Wow.
I have to keep maintaining the place. I have to pay whatever I still have to pay, my debt. So it was a big, and we even asked, shall we keep the hotel open or not? Shall we shut down? So there was a lot of decisions that we had to take to adapt
To the
new reality,
Yeah.
and that required a lot of sacrifices. Changes comes with certain sacrifices,
Yeah.
and I thank my team, my dear associates, that they have responded to that in a very resilient mode. And I would say that resilience is still a very important term these days.
Yeah.
If we wanted to survive, if we wanted to keep active, alive, we needed to be resilient,
Yeah.
and we needed to adapt to those changes. But working as a team, working together, communicating well, I would say explaining things how they are, it was a key thing.
Okay.
So the whole COVID period was really a change, a big change. I think is one of the biggest change I have gone through.
In your
Yeah,
life,
I mean, okay, I changed from countries, I changed from continents. Yeah, there was important, but now this change and still how it affect our lives.
Yeah.
The way we behave, we need to have these masks everywhere, we need to be sanitizing, washing hands, we need to,
Yes,
if we want to travel,
Yeah.
we need to do the testing, and the vaccinations are there, and a lot of questions about the vaccinations, which one should I
Yes, you
take?
which one should I not
Yeah,
take?
so it's the whole world went through a major changing, and we as human beings, I think, we are going through it because we have no other choice. But sometimes I think a little bit, wow, my God, I get a bit shocked sometimes. But
Yes.
how many things are ongoing,
Yeah.
and then it's the thought about what is the future, how will be the future,
Yeah.
how we project ourselves in 5-10 years.
Yeah.
That's something also important in leadership, how you see the future. If you have to take the past in consideration,
Yeah.
you have to manage the present, but most of all you need to look into the future.
Yeah.
How the future will be, anticipate somehow things, get ready for it, learn from the mistakes, learn from the experiences, and I think we need always to see the future with optimism and say things are going to be better.
Yeah.
And be ambitious. Like for me, my ambition here is that once we get out of this crisis, that we can balance a little bit better our finance, that we go back to the project. We have a wonderful project of renovation for the hotel.
Yeah.
Everything was ready, the designs, the credit facilities to start. And COVID came and everything was put on hold.
Wow.
And that for me was one of my, I would say it will be one of my accomplishments if I see at least part of the hotel renovated.
Yeah.
Because we need to face the new reality, the new competition. There are many new hotels still
Coming up, yeah.
under construction.
Yeah.
And that will open in 2-3 years.
Yes.
Sheraton has to be ready for that. I would say that we have excellency and a very good service because of all the trainings and the engagement of people with the brand.
Yeah.
But we know the product has also to evolve.
Yeah.
So these renovations are expected. I hope that next year we can start doing, even with the crisis we're going through, we have managed to do a few things. We have our restaurant Seven Seas, which is going through a refurbishment that was needed. We might be reopening it in a couple of weeks.
Okay, so all of this started during the lockdown situation. JP, let's talk about pressure from you as a leader. As a general manager, you not only manage the operation in Uganda, you manage the operation in East Africa. I mean, Uganda was one of those places that received high amount of pressure when we went into a lockdown. What happened to the other operation? How were you able to pull through from those other operations and the challenges that the operations came with during this COVID? How were you able to manage it?
Yeah, each property from the group went through the same challenges,
Yeah.
but each market, of course, is different and recovers in a different pace. Some of the hotels are kind of doing better because of the environment they have, and also the resources that are available. But I would say that in overall, I mean the whole region,
Yeah.
it's coming out of this second wave now,
Yeah.
and I hope that there won't be
The
another.
third wave, yes.
So
Yeah.
things are improving.
Okay.
I think the process is to. The important is to keep the contact, to keep very attentive what's happening in each different market,
Yeah.
and to look for opportunities, business opportunities.
Yeah.
Some markets can support better each other in a due time.
Yeah.
Today is somehow a moment that we ask all to support us.
Yeah.
The countries that are already moving on to more normal times, making sure that people don't have that image, okay, Uganda is still difficult to come.
Yeah.
We have a few challenges that we are still facing here, especially at, at the airport in
Yes,
Entebbe.
yes, yeah.
I think that this week was very rich in discussions, and also the tourism sector was very mobilized to try to obtain a deal that is not so painful and for the travelers that come to Uganda, either for tourism or for business.
Yeah.
Definitely, we need to make sure that whoever comes to Uganda have done his test. If they are vaccinated, is better. But we have to be careful also not to create an environment there at arrival that people feel uncomfortable, and it's long. It takes hours to be released. So it's after a long trip. It's very painful.
Yeah.
So I think that things are getting to a more balance.
Okay.
And we will be hearing about it. There is already a release that came yesterday from Civil Aviation,
Yeah.
which was a bit of an outcome of all these discussions. I believe also that some key people have spoken directly with the president.
Yeah.
Because we need really to keep Uganda as a friendly country to come, and that people don't start the experience in you know, with a lot of frustration at the airport. That's a very key thing.
Okay, and as we wind up, JP, we want to just talk about, we've touched many of these areas, but I want to talk to you from the transformational part of it. You've talked about Sheraton transforming, going through the renovation, but there is a transformation that the hotel business brings to life and to very many other people. Wherever we have such, facilities or such investment, people's lives change. You mentioned on the show a bit earlier that you have about 400 and plus people working for Sheraton. When you look back to your life as a, hotel manager, as the person who ran the hospitality business, as a professional in that area, when you look back, how would you quantify the transformation that you have gone through over the years that has also been a place of people finding transformation in their life, that has gone to people's lives and their lives has transformed in general?
Definitely, each of the experience that I went through added something to me as a professional, but also as a person.
Yeah.
I say that we cannot never consider for granted that we know everything, we learn everything. We are always learning something new.
Yeah.
When we move from a place to another, or when we go through different situations.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. For me, every day is a new day. Every day is an opportunity to transform, to learn something.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were talking or saying, some people sometimes spend 20 years in the same position.
Yes.
Definitely what kills sometimes is not only the professional life, even I would say family life, is the routine.
Yes.
So you have always to try to invent, create.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things also I'm always talking with my team is about innovation, creativity, think out of the box. Discover new things. Even in here, I mean, how many things are showing up, coming up in Uganda, in Kampala, every day, even during the COVID, there is a new place. I the other day went to Kololo. I see so many new places.
Yes, yes.
Some are closing down
Yes.
because they have their cycle, but others are coming with
Yeah.
new concepts. So we have. It's not because we are Sheraton, an international brand, that we don't have to learn with others, huh? And we can always take what we call benchmarking
Yes, yes.
to get inspiration.
Yeah.
But then it's important that we create it on our own way.
Yeah.
So this spirit of innovation, creativity, it's also very important,
Yeah.
and it's part of the transformation process.
Wow.
And that's something that I try also to incorporate, because this gives you motivation.
Yeah.
It's not like every day is the same thing.
Yeah.
Of course, that you always will have those routines that you cannot escape from.
Yeah.
I have always my moments. I have to sign payment. Now I sign lesser, but I
Yeah, because
authorize
COVID,
online.
yes, yes.
I have my guys there
Yeah.
sometimes chasing me.
Yeah.
Oh, boss, you have to authorize this, and that. And I say, okay, I will. But my priority is being with the guests.
Yes.
It's trying to find new things, you know. But yes, you
Yeah.
have those routines that
Yeah.
you have to go through.
Yeah.
But it's important to give sometimes also for that funny side of
Yes, yes, of you.
if you know, when we talk about passion, and it's also, you need to feel the pleasure of what you do.
Yes.
If you do something that you don't like, if you do something because you're obliged to,
Yeah.
I know it's not everyone that has this privilege, and some people, that's what they get and they have to do it. But I wouldn't say that my job is always the how you call, the bed of roses.
Yes, 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 yes.
But it's yes, because I take pleasure, because it gives me something in return, that I'm doing this, and I hope God
Right.
gives me strength to
Yes.
continue doing this
Yeah.
for some more years,
Wow.
until the time that we'll have to step down. a
Wow.
bit.
Well, we're talking to Jean, and of course, JP is the general manager of Sheraton Kampala, and of course, the regional manager for East Africa Constellation Hotel Management LLC, as it is known. It's a group of companies, just so you know. JP, thank you very much for coming to the show. But one more question: how do you balance your work life and family?
Yeah, that I'm not very good into that. I would say that sometimes I have to give more time for myself
Yeah.
and for the family.
Yeah.
Hospitality is very challenging for all of us working, because it's a lot of it's 24 hours, 365 days, but still you need to find time. I'm glad this year, I don't know if it's because the business went down, but I could spend a full month with my family,
Yeah.
a bit disconnected, not completely, because I can't. I have always
Be on
to
phone.
follow what's happening, but I had time for me. I had time to do some physical activity, and that's something that I know it's so important.
Yeah.
You are in
Yes,
this.
yes, yes.
When I was young, I was doing a lot of sports,
Yes.
and sports was very good.
Yeah.
And for any kid, I think sport is fantastic to give discipline,
Yeah.
targets. I used to swim a lot. I used to do rowing,
Yeah.
and I was part of a team. We were competing, and that was very intense training.
Yeah.
Then, with time, I have relaxed a bit in keeping physical activity. I always try to do something,
Yeah.
and it's very important, because you feel much better. But yes, you need to take care of yourself, of your body, of what you eat, how many hours you sleep, healthy life.
Yeah.
But also not at the extent that if you like to have some fun sometimes, to drink a little bit
Yeah.
with your friends. I mean, in hospitality is also about the passion I have for food, and I like good wines, a good whiskey, in a moderate way.
Yes.
But it's about this too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, family life, it's sometimes a bit complex. When you are working as an expatriate,
Yeah.
the family is a bit spread all over.
Yeah.
But we have good moments. We have qualitative moments.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have WhatsApp, Telegram, all those
Yes.
that today.
Yeah.
You can at any time reach someone and spend some time
With
in a
them.
talk.
Yeah.
But yes, balancing life is. I'm not very good on that. I'm not a very good example, but I'm trying.
Okay.
My HR, if she's listening to that, she might be laughing.
Yes,
She's
and finally, your wife also works in the. You said your wife has a background in the hotel
Yes.
management. She does do the same thing. Are you guys in the same company? How do you manage to work to marry a person within the same area where you work, and still continue with the family to this level? I mean, what's work balancing these things? Because sometimes it's not very easy for people who are in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
Particularly at your level.
Yeah, we worked together for a certain number of years.
Yes.
It was not always easy.
Yeah.
Then we were working in the same company, but with different assignments. That was okay.
Yeah.
And when I came to Africa, she had a very good job offer there in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So my wife lives in Dubai, and she's not in the operations, but she's in what we call e-commerce.
Yes.
She managed the online business for a big hotel group,
Okay.
and she's successful. So we try to see each other every 2 months,
Okay.
and during holidays,
Yeah.
of course.
Okay. And the children?
We don't have direct children, but we have a boy that is our nephew, but we take care of him.
Okay.
And but he's preparing his exams to university now, so he's in France.
So they live with the mother or lives with you here?
No, he's now with the grandparents in France.
In France.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now we wanted to just touch base on that. Sometimes people think that you general managers are, superhumans. You're not. You don't have a life to live every single day besides the work, because we see you in a tie, we see you signing things. We don't know that you have a life to live, but you've given us a space to actually understand, that you have a life and the things you do every single day. JP, we've come to the end of the show. Yeah.
We are using less ties now, huh?
Yeah.
Especially on Fridays.
Why?
It's a trend somehow.
yes.
When you have official events
Yes,
and
yes.
and things, you put back the tie. But
Yes.
more and more in the hospitality, GMs,
Yes.
all the people working in sales and marketing,
Yes.
it's a bit more relaxed.
Yes, yes.
It's a trend,
Okay.
so that you don't have that
the seriousness that
yes,
comes with
yes.
it all the time.
So
Wow.
I try to combine that.
Oh. And your final word to those who nominated you, what are you looking for 20 years, 50 years from now when you're finally out of Uganda? What you be looking forward to? What would you like as your legacy, that when you leave, they will say, once upon a time, there's a man called Jean-Philippe Bentecourt who was a general manager of Sheraton Kampala.
Well, that's definitely something that it's very somehow important. Sometimes I think what these people will remind of me when maybe they will be in my position, or if someone say, oh yes, finally I remember that GM, I learned. The young, sometimes they don't see immediately that effect.
Yeah.
And I know by my experience,
Yeah.
I had a very tough general manager that I remember sometimes I feel like crying because he gave me very hard times.
Yes.
But I end up like having not only respect for him, but affection. And still sometimes, he's kind of old now, but sometimes I send always a message for Christmas. But he had a big impact in my career.
Yeah.
But he was tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to be tough with my kids. Sometimes they learn how to deal with me, but they know that I am very exigent.
Yeah.
I'm very detail oriented. I'm very guest oriented. I when there is an issue with the guest, I feel frustrated.
Yeah.
And but I hope that from what the examples, the walk, the talk, or whatever that I can transmit to them, that one day they will remember myself, and
Yeah.
especially I think the ones that will progress in their careers. And it's difficult to project myself in 20 years.
Yes. Why? You're living a healthy life.
Yes.
Yes.
But as I say, the world changed so much.
Yeah.
Where will I be? Yeah, we have a plan with my wife where to retire or to settle down one day. We have a nice place in the south of France, which is a very good region with very good weather. And but I hope that I will still be coming here to Uganda once in a while.
Yes.
I don't know, maybe after a career in the operation, I will go to what most of people that acquire a lot of experience and knowledge to some kind of consultancy.
Yeah.
I think that if I have this opportunity for the rest of my life until I'm really capable of being a resource or supportive, or I can help some projects, development, training people, guiding people, I'll be. I don't see myself like staying home doing nothing.
Yes.
Or I feel that I will always need to have some occupancy.
Okay.
I don't have that. I know in Uganda and in Brazil it's not like that, because people feel that they have to work until very late. But in countries like in France, in Europe, people think, oh, I'm going to retire and this is it. I'm going to live now enjoying life or doing some social work. Yeah. I don't see me fitting in that. I want to keep being active
and
doing things that are meaningful.
Wow. Well, JP, thank you very much for coming to the program today. We really appreciate to have you on the program.
Thanks to the public. I hope that I was I was useful, or that I could pass good messages, and I am available for questions. It can go through you, or if anyone wants to.
Yes. Well, if you have a question, we definitely want you to write. We can sample one or two questions as we go. I want to just say this. Ed Yokila, thank you very much for bringing that gentleman to the show. I am a person who goes to Sheraton for breakfast normally every Sunday, but COVID came and hit us hard. We no longer enjoy what we used to have.
Well, we are. I mean, we've never really locked down completely, especially the breakfast.
Yes.
We are open there same
I think
hours.
I think it's because they were locked down at home. Movement was a problem.
No, but we are fully operational. And on Sundays, not only we have the breakfast, but we have the very nice brunch. And which is very nice for families, for the kids. They can go to the pool, the parents enjoy the food. There is good entertainment. There are some activities for the kids. And even now on Saturdays, and it's been very successful, we have what we call the Splash Saturday at the pool of Sheraton, where there is a lot of activities for the kids, some barbecue. Mothers are loving it because the kids are busy and they can enjoy just they talk with each other
and do other things. Wow. Okay, Eddie Okila, thank you very much. I live and work in Europe. I'm glad to hear that Sheraton is taking shape and that Marriott is taking over. At some point, Sheraton was becoming a pain. When you look back in the days, the glories that were gone, but I've seen the general manager saying the renovations happening. I had my wedding at Sheraton, and it was a bit disappointing some years back, and yet I grew up as a boy who used to, enjoy going to Sheraton.
Oh, that's
nice. So
no, it's for sure that Sheraton, there was, and that's from the feedback I've heard, went through a phase that the quality of service, the guest satisfaction was not at the top. Sometimes I hear, oh yes, Sheraton is not a good place to go anymore. Maybe they were living in their glories. I don't know why. What I know is that since I came and with my team, because for me the team, if I don't have a good team, I cannot do anything. But we have brought back the hotel to a level that I think, from the feedbacks I receive from the market, from guests, we are a key player. And yes, renovations some of them have taken place, but there is still quite a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
It will be there, I hope, very soon.
All right. Just because of our time, we'll not be able to read all your comments, but JP will definitely come back on the show. We want to probably visit Sheraton Kampala and look at some of the things that they're doing there. And of course, we want you to go and visit Sheraton Kampala and support it right at the center of Kampala. JP, somebody is asking me a question here before we go. In Nigeria, we do what we called, personality placing. But is this the same thing in Uganda? If a personality appear in, let's say in Kampala, would Sheraton Kampala give an on-board because it happens in Nigeria quite a lot? Does this happen in East Africa? Ask the general manager.
Sorry, I didn't get
personality. For example, if a personality is coming from another country, let's say a celebrity, to Uganda, does Sheraton Uganda offer to give a complimentary to that personality that is coming, let's say a celebrity?
Yeah, well, we have a certain number of partnerships with, different, promoters.
Yes.
It depends, of course. It has to be a win-win situation.
Yes, yes.
If there is, a megastar coming to Uganda, that will generate media for us.
Yes.
That will generate attention. Definitely, we can work something out.
Wow, wow. Well, there they have it, and we want to say thank you very much. JP, thank you very much for coming to the show. We're going to have to bonga and say goodbye to all of you guys, and thank you very much for being a part of the, CEO Bench growing bigger and better. Until next week, we want to say goodbye, and Eddie Okyila, Jean-Philippe Bintecourt, General Manager of Sheraton, signing out.